What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the Bacon, Lettuce, and Tomato Show, where we have the most unoriginal content on the internet. So, welcome in tonight. I'm just still beginning. I've been getting a kick out of this whole BLT thing lately. I mean, I have people on Twitter that are just literally going nuts over it. They think like I'm bullying, I'm insulting. I'm like, well, I didn't make up the insult, so it's funny. We'll run with it, and it's become kind of a thing around here lately. So. Welcome, everybody, back to the live show here Thursday night. Kind of an off night for me, but I wanted to take everybody through, my day at the Karen Reed hearing the other day. And then obviously the most kind of groundbreaking thing that happened to me was at the Stronger Together standout outside of Michael Morsey's office. I had the opportunity to meet with Enrique Delgado-Garcia's family. And I actually spoke with his mom and sister privately for about 30 minutes. It was about 30 minutes. I had a wonderful subscriber and follower of my channel. Her name is Beatrice that did a lot of the translating for me. But it was nice because his sister, Enrique's sister, actually speaks fluent English. So it made it a little bit easier. But to spend that time and hear a lot about Enrique's life, things that he was doing up until his death, and it's extremely sad. I mean, that family is in complete frustration, turmoil. You can see it. I mean, his mom is really, having a hard time, and understandably so. Understandably so. But I mean, there was even just points of meeting her and hugging her about 1,000 times over that I had tears in my eyes, and I just let them know that I will try to continue to get as much information as I can. Nothing is being let out. They were even saying they're not getting any information, but we'll get into that this evening. This evening. So very nice to see everybody here. We have a lot of the Ghost Squad members here, new subscribers here on the channel. If you're new here, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Mostly my live shows are Sunday, Monday, and Wednesday nights. At 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And this is, like I said, it's a little bit of an off night for me, but I wanted to do this material as it's fresh in my head. And again, I'm just going to kind of run everybody through my day, and we'll actually go through the Karen Reed court hearing this evening as well, too. I got the opportunity to sit in court, but it's so hard to hear in there. And, I was way in the back, so I wasn't up close. I wasn't near the speaker. So I figured we'll go through the court hearing tonight. And Hank Brennan making about 1 million mistakes. One, saying that he didn't even watch the first trial. Two, there was some controversy about the telemonics chip. And I think that's the word I'm looking for, infotainment chip inside Karen Reed's Lexus, that they actually have to extract off the motherboard, put that onto a specific machine, and extract that data. And the argument is that, the defense is all for it. They want it to happen, but they want to make sure that data on there is preserved, because as we saw, the expert that the Commonwealth was trying to put forward to designate bits and bytes, Man Shannon, as Turtle Boy calls him, didn't know the difference. So that was a very embarrassing thing there. And, you're going to hear about that in this hearing. But, and I get it. I wouldn't want data erased on a chip or data screwed with on a chip. And the argument was Alan Jackson saying, like, look, we're okay with the Commonwealth doing this testing, but we want one of our people there. We want our expert to oversee and be there to make sure that this is done properly. And ultimately, Bev did rule on that and said that it was, fine for their expert to be there. But we'll hear about that in court. So let me kind of take you through my day. I woke up extremely early to head into court. I live, and this is the funny thing about it, I live about 25 minutes on a normal day. That's a normal day from the courthouse down in Dedham. It took me over an hour and a half to get there. The traffic was insane. I left my house at about 7:15 in the morning, traveled up to court in Dedham, and I got there at about just a little bit after 9 o'clock. And then it was freezing cold out in front of the courthouse. I actually met up with Kelly. It was funny. I was going to the registry of deeds to use the restroom. Kelly Reed was just coming out as I was going in. We stopped. We chatted a little bit. And then I proceeded to head out in front of the court in hopes to get into the larger courtroom this time for the hearing. Karen arrived, we went into the hearing, and then came out, and I'll kind of take you through a little bit of that. So again, nice to see everybody here. Please make sure to smash the like button, and we'll get on with kind of how my day was. So I got some video of Karen actually walking into court. I don't know if you've been over my channel, but it was really great to get out there and see a lot of the supporters out there, the people that I haven't seen in a while, and get to talk a little bit to them. And it was funny. We had two of the Smurf people that showed up. Turtle Boy actually interviewed one of them. And what was her name? Katie Fair or Caitlin Fair? I can't remember, but he did a story on her quite a few years ago. They showed up for about, I don't know, 45 minutes and then left. They had a whole bunch of merch. No one was buying anything. It's kind of hilarious. And you can kind of read about all that on Turtle Boy's blog. And you can see that interview over on his channel, Turtle Boy Live. So check that out. It was kind of funny. But anyway, we got to get into court, sit and listen to the hearing. It was extremely hard to hear. I had a tough time hearing. I always have a tough time hearing in there. But anyway, I'll just we'll get to it. So let's do this. Let's bring up. So I got a little bit of video here of Karen actually walking in. This is Karen arriving at court. And I just want to get to this. Lori, thank you. May God bless you in Spanish. Que dos, I think I said that. Te, I'm sorry, I'm not going to get this right. Bendiga Familia Garcia. Hopefully I said that correctly. But thank you so much for the support. I appreciate that. And we'll talk about Enrique's the meeting with Enrique's family when we get through the Karen Reed hearing. And I want to read through my article tonight that I dropped. So I'm sorry. I'm horrible at Spanish, but thank God I had my awesome subscriber that came over and just said, hey, I've been looking for you. We have the opportunity to meet with the Garcia family. Would you like to meet him? I said, yes. And she did all the translating. But let's just watch this video of Karen coming into court.
They're so sweet. Oh my God, they're so fucking cute.
Good evening. Welcome in. Smash the like button. Let's have some fun here.
Yeah, I know you.
I'm going to review the day. Yeah, the blue camel coat too. Oh God. You're brutal.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Good.
Good morning.
Morning.
It was cold out there yesterday, but the weather doesn't stop. We will be out there.
Good morning, folks. Good morning. Good morning.
Let me just get to this. Essie says, Brian, you should have been able to sit in the family bench. Aiden, Meredith, Dina, Rita sat there, and there was room for like 6 more. Yeah, what happened was I got into the courtroom, had to use the restroom, so I ran down. You have to go down to the basement, and I used the restroom, and I came up. And then when I came up, the court office was just like to the left, and I had to sit way in the back. And I think at that time, court was already, well, no, court didn't start. I actually was there when court just started, but I didn't see Kelly or anybody, and I didn't know what the arrangements were, so I just sat in the back, and that's fine. Next time maybe we can make some arrangements, but that's very sweet of you to say that. And I actually saw Aiden in front of me, and I saw him kind of chatting with Meredith through the hearing, but I was lucky enough to be there and just get in, because a lot of times we can't because there's so many people. But it was really great. And it was great to see you, by the way. We don't talk much, but next time we have to chat.
Good job, guys.
Good morning, guys.
So we had Karen going in, arriving into court. This is funny. It says, get some hearing aids or like live listens on your phone and earbuds, like your sweatshirt. Thank you so much. The funny thing is my hearing is so bad because I played in bands like from 11 years old all the way up until my middle 30s. And guess what I didn't do? I never wore hearing protection. So a lot of that is catching up with me now. And I'm always like, what? Huh? What? And that's why I wear these kind of funny things too, because I can't just see anything anymore. I'm getting old. Someone's made the comment the other day, the Karen Reed case is making you gray. I'm like, dude, I'm 46 years old. Like, I'm close to 50. I'm close, but you know what? I still look good, right? I still look good, right? A little bit more gray this year. Lost the hair. It's okay. I'm fine with it. Still wear my hat backwards. That bothers everybody on Twitter too. He wears his hat backwards like a 12-year-old. Like, I've always wore a hat. I've always wore the hat backwards. It's just my thing. It's my signature. I always find that funny. It pisses them off on Twitter. They come at me. Oh, look at the little kid. He wears his hat backwards. So what? So what? I love it. All right, let's get to. Oh, actually, you know what? I have video of. I just dropped this. I just put this up a couple of minutes ago. I thought this was funny. We have the lunchbox. Adam Lally showing up to court here.
He sold his soul.
The greeting outside of court for Adam Lally. I love it. Good stuff. All right, let's get to the hearing here. Again, I was having a hard time hearing in there. It's so muted in there. But we'll play through the hearing, and I can get a feel for a little bit. I like my hats backwards. My boy was. Yeah, I mean, what the fuck? That's like a Boston thing, bro. That's like that's a Massachusetts thing. That is a Massachusetts thing. Wearing your hat backwards was like a Boston, Massachusetts thing. I'm telling you. He did. You know, that's funny that you said that, Kelly, because I laughed and I said to who was sitting next to me? Gosh, my brain is like losing it. I said to, it'll come to me, believe me. Who was I sitting next to in court? Oh, Trisha. Trisha was next to me in court, and I said to her, I said, oh my God, look at Lally. His head is just buried down. He's like Hank Brennan's like the dad, and Lally's like the young schoolboy that just got a whipping and just told to sit down and shut up. I thought it was hilarious. He literally kept his head down the entire time, buried in his little desk. But it was hilarious, and that's funny that you said that. All right, let's get to the hearing here. Try to get through with not too many stops. And we'll get through this here. Here we go.
Along with me is attorney.
And this guy has one of them funny voices. This guy, when I heard him talk, I'm like, oh shit. If we go to a second trial, this is the voice that we're gonna have to hear. I know that. I never watched the first trial, so I was like, oh man, we're gonna have to fucking listen to this guy. Another voice.
And attorney Adam Lally.
Good morning,
Good
Mr.
morning.
Brennan. Good morning, Mr. Lally.
Good morning.
Good morning, Ms. McLaughlin.
For the defense?
Good morning, Your Honor. Alan Jackson on behalf of Ms.
Good morning, Mr. Jackson.
Good morning, Your Honor. Elizabeth Little, also on behalf of Ms. Reed.
Good morning, Ms. Little.
Good morning, Your Honor. David Yannetti for Karen Reed.
Good morning, Mr. Yannetti. Good morning, Ms. Reed. All right, so we have a series of motions here.
Let's get this really quick. Lori, thanks for the 10. Says I was behind you in the court line to get in, and the hand warmer. Yes, we had these hand warmers out there. They didn't fucking work. Like, they didn't work. It was sweet. They gave me hand warmers. They didn't work. And, oh, by the way, I want to let everybody know, if you can tonight, I have the Garcia family GoFundMe link attached to the top of this chat. If you'd like to donate, that link is open. You can donate throughout the show. I think it's at, their goal now is 50,000, and I think it's at about 46,000 right now. So I'd like to get out there and start raising some money for them and bring some awareness to them. And that's one thing that I told Enrique's mom is that, we'll continue to push the GoFundMe link as much as I can. They said, really, we haven't looked at it much. We've been so preoccupied with everything that's going on. We're not hearing anything. I mean, they're getting just about as much information as we are, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. Let's get through the hearing, and we'll get to Enrique towards the end of the show.
Here a while this morning. It makes sense to me to start with the Rule 17 motions.
And this didn't happen.
So the first Rule 17 motion I have is the Commonwealth's motion for records from Verizon. But I do have a question for you Mr. Brennan, have the third-party record holders been served in all of these Commonwealth motions pursuant to Rule 17?
Thank you, Your Honor. I understand the court might have a preference that I move to the podium. Would you like me to answer?
It's wherever you're comfortable, as long as we can hear you.
I filed a series of Rule 17 motions, as I'm sure you're aware. I have not notified any of the third-party holders. I did not want to be presumptuous, seeing that I have not met the court and didn't know what the schedule would be for the Rule 17s. So I have filed these just to give everybody as much notice as possible. And my intention was to ask the court if we could set a date so that we could have these motions heard and hear the defendant's objections.
I made fun of someone. No.
All right, so I misunderstood. I thought they were on for the Rule 17 motions today. All right, so the record holders do
can't
need
have
to be
humor.
heard. I was
No
wondering
humor.
why I
No
did
humor
not
on this
hear
channel.
from any of the parties, other than I have the defendant's objection to Mr. Reed's records. But, all right, so we'll get a date, and that date should
Does sound
be
like a
sooner
card to me.
rather than later to get notice out to all the parties.
Yes, Your Honor. I'll note that we did file 2 additional Rule 17s last night. I don't know if they've been docketed.
They have been docketed. I got them, and that's why I was wondering whether the
You hear
record
it?
holders had in fact been notified. So, okay, so scheduling we'll do at the end of the hearing. Then I think what we'll start with after,
He kind of sounds like Hannibal the Cannibal. I ate his liver with some fava beans and a nice Chianti. I mean, he kind of sounds like Hannibal, doesn't he? He kind of sounds like
these Rule
him.
17s that we'll put on pause. It's paper number 48. It's the defendant's motion for relief from the order to impound sidebar conferences. And before we begin that, is there an opposition to that from the Commonwealth?
In part.
Okay. All right.
part.
Have
Sounds
you
like
spoken with
fucking
Mr.
Hannibal the
Iannetti about what part that is?
I've spoken
Dr.
to all the
Lecter.
attorneys numerous times. I think we're very clear what each other's position is.
Okay. All right, why don't you, all right, Ms. Giannetti, do you want to be heard by starting with the whole
100%
motion or what?
I think we can short circuit this, Your Honor. Our suggestion, I think it's a joint suggestion to the court, is that the sidebar conferences be unsealed solely for counsel at this point. Mr. Brennan's at somewhat of a handicap because unlike the defense team, he was not present at sidebar. He does not know what the conferences were about. And in fairness to the Commonwealth, we've agreed that it just be released to us, and then Mr. Brennan can decide if he has a further position regarding unsealing it more than that.
Okay. All right, that makes sense. Have you spoken with Ms. King about how long it will take to get these transcripts?
My co-counsel has spoken to her.
I think we're going to have a
Which
Debbie Downer
co-counsel?
tonight.
Mr.
So let's
Jackson.
just take
All right.
care of the Debbie Downer.
What do you have to say about that?
Goodbye.
How quickly can she get them?
Have a good night.
She works extremely expeditiously, but she
Goodbye,
has not
Debbie
started
Downer.
them. It's my understanding there's 3 reporters who probably would split the work. And she said that she could get started as soon as there was a court order suggesting that she do so. I would imagine, given what we've gotten so far, we're talking a couple of weeks rather than a month or 2. I think we
Okay.
could probably get something within.
How about when Bev fired at Jackson about the red-eye flight?
Yes, just based on my experience.
And Karen just turns around. She's
All
like,
right.
because she knows. I mean, Karen knows how Bev is. And she just turned around like, this is ridiculous. When she looked back at everybody, looked back at her family. Just unbelievable. But you'll hear that.
So it's just for counsel. Do you intend to have, are you asking me to unseal the
100%, Andrea.
conferences with the jurors?
Just for counsel, yes. I would imagine that when we get to the second stage of this, those would be in a different category from the legal rulings at sidebar unrelated to
Right.
jurors.
All right. All right, thank you.
If I could be heard briefly.
Sure.
Thank you. Regarding the non-juror information, I'm in full agreement with the defense. I think it's prudent to, if the court would consider unimpounding the documents, I can review them. If I have
Well,
any,
you can review unimpounded documents. Counsel can review impounded documents.
then I'll begin that task. And if there's any concerns, I'll note them. If not, then I would have no concern
Right.
about releasing them outside of protective order. The juror information stands in a different posture, in my perspective. I think that should remain impounded at this point. There's a pending appeal before the SJC
Yeah.
based on the request of the defense. If they are successful, would then reinvigorate the attention on those jurors. I don't see a need for juror information to be unimpounded at this point. All the other information, I don't have the same concern.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All right, the next motion.
Party on, Wayne. Party on, Garth.
So defendant's motion for discovery of communications in the possession, custody, and control of the Commonwealth. Who's going to argue that?
I will, Your Honor. I would say at the outset that in speaking with Mr. Brennan, he had expressed a preference to be able to respond potentially in writing. So we were in agreement, subject to the court's approval, if we're going to get another date for the Rule 17 motions, to have this motion heard at that time. But I'm prepared now if the court prefers me to
No,
argue.
I'll give you the opportunity. How much time do you need to respond in writing, Mr. Brennan?
I can respond by next week.
Okay.
Really, I'm accommodating the defense. I have a very broad perspective on Rule 14 statements. Our office has made a concerted effort to provide everything that's not only discoverable under the rule, but from my perspective, a broader perspective. I want to make sure I err on the side of caution and they get every statement they're entitled to.
Look at Lally.
So we're in the process of accumulating all potential
It's so
statements of
embarrassing.
witnesses, which
Look
they're
at this
entitled to.
guy.
I'm going to provide them to them. I've already provided a number of statements that I frankly believe are outside Rule 14 parameters, and I'll continue to do that throughout this case.
Okay.
And so my response in writing really is to accommodate the request and then give an answer in a production of what I have. That's going to take me probably 10 days to put everything together, to adequately review it, and then to provide a package to the defense. So I think that if I have 10 days, I might be able to accommodate the request without any need for litigation. If they decide to pursue further effort, then I can respond.
Okay. All right. So why don't we give you, until the 27th, just after, or just before the Thanksgiving break?
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Does that work for you, Ms. Giannetti?
Certainly does.
Look at Lally.
All right. So let's talk about the Commonwealth's notice of scheduling, reassembly and testing of the defendant's Lexus telematics system.
He
Man.
probably
Yes.
is.
As a matter of background, as I think the court is likely aware, the Commonwealth tested information on data chips that were found.
Okay, this is important now. This is like the part that I really wanted to hear. They're going to lay out their case about the data chips inside Karen Reed's car, or SUV, I'm sorry, the Lexus. And then Alan Jackson's going to essentially get up and just say, look, like, we're all for testing, but we just want one of our experts there because we don't want any funny business or just losing data, because that's super important. Super, super important. You erase data, that's it. It's gone. It ain't coming back.
In different modules that were inside the defendant's Lexus. Inevitably, at trial, the court is likely aware that there's information taken from one of the systems that was provided, and it showed information such as key cycles and different speeds. And I understand that was a exhibit at trial. There were two different search warrants by the government. One search warrant was for the car that included both a telestream and a telematics module, which is like a lunchbox with computer
A
panels.
lunchbox.
And then in 2023, there was a second search warrant for the infotainment system, which is what was produced at trial. I hired an independent expert, and in the independent expert of the information, what he realized is that the information taken from the informatics manual and the information taken from the telestream manual had some irregularities. What he realized is that all of that data was unreadable. And so initially he thought that the data was not fully downloaded or compiled. He checked and he believed that gigabits were gigabytes, and
that was another. That was funny too. He started saying, he started calling the defense the government.
Discrepancy, and the reason he thought this is because there was very obvious information missing from that procedure. There was information,
This is embarrassing,
navigation information,
Man, Shannon.
information regarding uh, phones that were plugged into the radio, travel logs, things that are particularly relevant and material in this case, information that is going to be extraordinarily inculpatory or exculpatory in this case. And so after he realized his oversight on the gigabit, he filed a supplemental report. And what we learned is not only was the chips that were taken from the telematics and infotainment systems and downloaded were read with the wrong reader, so that way the information was not available. Also, in the the infotainment system, there were actually 3 boards, not 1. Only 1 was taken out. So there is a plethora of information on these chips that has not been downloaded that's relevant to this case. And so we provided notice to the defense that our intention is that we are going to test this information that we have in our control and that we have a search warrant for. And my effort was to give them notice so they could have an available expert. So my purpose really was not to ask for the defense's permission, rather it was to notice them, this is what we were going to do. You can see from my motion, I asked to do it within 14 days. Having recently arrived at the case, it was important for me to prioritize Rule 17 motions and new experts so that they could have adequate notice. The defense asked for today's date and wanted more time, and when I considered it, I thought that was reasonable. I think they're entitled to have an expert and consider what we are doing, even though I don't believe they have standing to prevent it. And so that's why I agreed to this date. Inevitably, we know that this information will be on these chips. And so we know there are 2 boards on the system that weren't tested, and then the other chips that were tested that came back with unreadable information with the proper computer programs, they call them programmers, we will get viable information from both of them. And so I've spoken to the defense. I know they've hired an expert. I know they've filed a motion contesting our position. I'm not going to speak for what their position is today, but I would say 2 things. One, the defense in their motion asks to have their expert be able to intervene. We're not agreeable to that. They can watch and comment and criticize as much as they'd want, but we're entitled to the download. Notably, when the first download was done, the Commonwealth deferred to the defense expert to do the download. That is not my position. I don't defer that responsibility.
That's so fucking bad. The Commonwealth was. They had to go to the defense expert to get this extraction. Oh,
But
man.
it was the defense expert that overlooked the proper reader that was needed for the chips that were tested. And it was the expert that overlooked the fact that there was 3 panels in the system, not 2. And our expert was astute enough to find those
We love you,
oversights,
Peggy.
and that's why we now have an independent expert that is going to do this. I know experts differ. They're not frick-a-frack. They all have different opinions, but we've attached all of the protocol, what we intend on doing, and the reason I brought it before the court is I wanted to expedite this matter. It's important, and it does.
I thought we were going to have that hearing within 14 days when we first got the motion. And then Mr. McDermott told me that the defense was looking for more time, so we gave this. But we're far into the case is scheduled currently for January 27th. Sounds like you have a lot to do before then, but as of right now, it's still January 27th. So all of these things, the Rule 17 motions, all of these things need to be done as soon as possible. So
I understand. And if I can just add, it might help in your consideration of a later motion.
They're not ready. This guy's not ready. This guy's not ready. And granted, the defense and the prosecution went for a joint motion to move this in April.
The reason why this
They're
is
not ready.
urgent to me to have this as soon as possible is because I also have noticed and hired an accident reconstruction expert. And that accident reconstruction expert will necessarily rely upon the information that is gleaned from this testing.
how long is this testing going to take?
It's a 3-day testing. It will take within a week to read it. And the sooner we have it, the sooner we can have our reconstruction expert engage in any type of task that we want them to. But they necessarily are in a holding pattern now. And that is my sense of urgency for this to be developed and done.
Who's arguing this for the defense? Okay, I'll hear you, Mr. Jackson.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'll start by saying, in principle, we don't have an objection to the retesting of the telematics or the infotainment center or system data. The problem that we have, our issue sort of dovetails into what Mr. Brennan was suggesting about what was done the first time.
Right.
He just suggested that his new expert, Mr. Shannon Burgess, was astute enough to find something that Maggie Gaffney didn't find. Well, to bring the court completely up to speed, when the initial testing was done, the Commonwealth's expert did not know how to do a chip off, physically did not know how to do it, Joe Paul. He turned to Maggie Gaffney, our expert, who did know how to do it. She's a former MSP officer and extremely facile in this world.
And you have a different expert now. You're not using her now?
Well, we may use her, but we have an additional expert who specifically works, Mr. DeSorga, specifically works in chip offs and chip ons.
Yep.
That physical process,
chip.
that physical procedure of moving chips on and off of boards. It's a very technical procedure. It's a very skilled procedure. He knows how to do it. He's got extremely.
Yeah, because you got to think when you're, I'm going to try to visualize this for everybody. You have a chip, right? If you have a board, a motherboard, right? They're usually green. You open up electronic, that's a board, right? And you have all these little chips in there. What you need to do is they're going to take that chip off the board. So on the underside of that board, when that chip goes through, it has prongs on it. It goes into little holes. And then sometimes those prongs are bent over, and then they'll have little pieces of solder on them to hold it in to that circuit board. So what they're going to do is go in and heat that solder off so it loosens the chip and moves it. But if you overheat it, you bump it, you cross a connection or something like that, that could just blank the whole chip out. I mean, it's a very nerve-wracking procedure. And then you got to bring that in and put it onto a testing board, and I'm sure they probably solder it in and do it that way too, or at least plug it in somehow and extract that data. So I'm sure it's very, very stressful. And if you screw that up, that's it. Blanks out that whole chip, data is gone. Data set is gone.
It's got an extremely long resume. Having done this kind of work,
I read it.
We're bringing him up to speed in order to sort of engage it in some oversight and some observation. I don't have a principled objection to doing the retesting. What I have a problem with is that their new expert, Mr. Burgess, right at the beginning, fundamentally misunderstood the data set on the three chips, the 2-micron chips and the expansion chip that he looked at, didn't understand the difference between megabytes and megabits, gigabytes and gigabits, and that gave us pause. If he didn't understand that, which is at the foundation of reading the data, we're concerned that some of the data could be destroyed in whatever process he engages in. Like I said, we don't have a principled objection to the work that's going to be done. We simply want to make sure that nothing is destroyed in doing that work. It's not, and I would take a little issue with something Mr. Brennan said, it's not that the data set is missing information. We don't know that it's missing information. Burla has now updated software that we believe, I think both sides believe, could be beneficial in culling or teasing out that data set from those chips that didn't exist when Ms. Gaffney did her work previously. She put it on a reader, it was unreadable. It doesn't mean that the data is missing. It means that it's unreadable. As a matter of fact, one of the things that our expert would do and would suggest is that a process called a checksum be done. I'm going to use some made up numbers, but let's say there's 5,123 bits or bytes on a particular chip. You can do a checksum
and verify it.
There's 5,123 bits and bytes read now. That means down to the bit or the byte, nothing has been altered, nothing's been changed, and we know that we're dealing with the exact same data set. That checksum would be the first process in doing the additional reading. Then they can go back and use the additional Burla software to see if the data set could be read. After that's done, then my understanding is there would need to be a chip on. They'd need to resolder those specific chips, the 2-micron chips and the expansion chip, back onto the motherboard, install the motherboard back into the truck, and then turn the truck on. That's the process that I understand. My only request is that our expert be obviously, given his expertise and his knowledge of this information, He should be there to observe. And the only caveat to that is if he makes a determination, working with Mr. Burgess or observing Mr. Burgess's work, that what's about to happen is destructive to the data on the chips, we would ask gently, and I don't think this is much of an ask, that he be allowed to interpose his objection to moving forward, contact both counsel, both parties, and if need be, present his objections either to us,
very
to
fair
resolve it,
argument,
or to the court for intervention. That's all. I want the work done, but I want to make sure that the data set that's on those 3 chips or additional chips that are read is never destroyed or in peril of being destroyed. That's all.
That's very fair.
All right.
Extremely fair.
Mr. Brennan?
The defense expert would not be working with Mr. Burgess. He'd be observing Mr. Burgess. The defense expert has no active role in this testing. There is no inherent risk that Mr. Burgess is going to destroy something unnecessarily.
You don't know that.
Potentially destructive testing, just as it was the first time. Fortunately, the information was not destroyed the first time, so we can access it again, but it's potentially destructive testing. The defense is not entitled to veto power during the process. That will delay things. It has no role and no purpose in it. And so inevitably, Mr. Burgess is well qualified. Mr. Burgess is competent, and he is going to test these chips and provide the information to the defense to get an exact copy. The idea of checksum, there's no mystery to these words. There's a protocol that's followed where they use the old software that was ineffective, and they test to make sure it's the same amount of data that's unreadable. And after they confirm that nothing has been moved or destroyed or tampered with, then they bring in the right programs, the right software, and they'll retest it properly. It'll provide the information that will be available to both us and the defense.
All right, so if I act on this motion quickly, because there isn't a basic objection to it being retested, when can they begin, Mr. Brennan?
Your Honor, I spoke to my expert this morning, and I asked him for a schedule when he could test. I told him I'd like it as soon as possible. We didn't finish the conversation. What he told me is December 2nd or 3rd. I told him that would be
100% D.
It's too far out. I want it done
before
before Thanksgiving because time is of the essence. And I think it really develops everything else that will happen in this case as far as other experts. So I need to resume my conversation with my expert, encourage him, and insist that we make some changes in schedule. So I can't give an exact date because that conversation wasn't what I was expecting, but I don't think we can tolerate waiting that long.
Okay. All right, this one I will act on very quickly. All right, so I think that just leaves us with the motion to continue. I know it's a joint motion, but I need to hear from both sides as to why I should do that. Mr. Brennan?
Can I begin?
Yes.
I didn't even watch the first trial. This is where we get it.
And the request is for an
Unreal.
April 1st date. You're not looking to go any further than that, correct?
We are not. We are not. Your Honor, the Commonwealth has been on this case for some time, and I am newer to the case. I'm not looking for a personal accommodation, but I think the idea of a motion to continue in our joint request is in the interest not only of justice, but I think inevitably, I truly believe it's going to have a more efficient and effective trial. A part of my perspective is to move as quickly as I can, and that's why I've started with the Rule 17 motions. I've also tried to retain as many experts as quickly as possible. The experts will need to do whatever testing they're going to have and conduct, and then I need to provide the reports to the defense. The defense then may have counter experts in reciprocal discovery that I want well in advance of trial. When I first entered the case, I was committed to January 27th, and I still am. If the court decides that's more appropriate, I will be ready on January 27th. However, I realized when I was trying to move and facilitate the testing of these chips in 2 weeks, and the government, the defense wanted more time. And I appreciated that their request was reasonable. I began to understand that it is going to take a little bit more time than I wanted to have the experts notice, the reports done, and then the defense have time to manage whatever the information is. I do not want to get into a position where we're turning over expert testimony, they're retaining experts to counter that testimony, and then to reciprocate in discovery where days, weeks are in the midst of trial. I want to avoid unfairness to the defense at all costs, but I also want to avoid any unfairness for the prosecution, and that includes reciprocal discovery. And certainly the reciprocal discovery cannot happen until I've provided everything that I intend on using. I have tried to exercise extraordinary diligence in this case. In addition to Rule 17.
Beatrice, thank you.
And in addition
This
to
is-
retaining experts.
Let me just pause this really quick. This is actually the fantastic, fantastic subscriber that helped translate to when I met with Enrique Delgado-Garcia's family. And we're going to get to that right after the hearing here. I just want to kind of take you through my day. But another 10 minutes of the hearing, and then we'll get to my article. I'll fill in some details in between of reading my article. But Beatrice, thank you so much for what you did. And that really helped out. And we got some really great connections through that. And I am now in direct contact with members of the Delgado family. So it's a really great opportunity to meet his mom and hear about, Enrique's life and just the pain, the terrible pain that they are going through, searching for answers. All right, let's get through this, and then we'll get on to Enrique.
We have brought on my full-time paralegal, and we are going through the entire discovery. And I know it's already been provided, but it wasn't Bates numbers, which I'm accustomed to. And we are re-indexing all the discovery and re-providing it, even though I expect most or all of it has been provided. And I'm doing that out of an abundance of caution, so I can be confident that the defense has every document I have. That will resolve or prevent any delays at trial of inadvertent late disclosure or any concern or confusion about documents that have been provided. I also, with the office, have diligently moved to obtain all Rule 14 statements so that we can get the information to the defense as soon as possible. I've employed a practice when I'm retaining experts. I don't wait until we've done testing or reports. I immediately give the CVs to the defense so they can get started on investigating and looking into the experts. So nothing is held back when I receive it. If I receive any information that is discoverable or frankly not discoverable, I provide it to them. You can see in my discovery notices when I get emails from strangers with theories that I don't even agree to, that I don't know, I don't evaluate it, I give it to the defense. And so we're doing all of this to try to be as efficient as possible to avoid delays at the time of trial. And it will allow me, when I evaluate this case, which I'm still in the process of doing, of reducing the witness list substantially. And so although it does delay the case, if you allow this motion, I think it will make for a shorter, more effective, efficient trial. And I think it will be, importantly, more fair to the parties involved. And that's why I asked you to consider that continuance. I do not expect I would come before you and ask for another continuance. If something cannot get done in time with an expert of my choosing or that I would like, I appreciate I won't be able to use that expert. And so I think the joint request is something that is legitimate. I think it's well thought, and I leave it to Your Honor. Thank you.
All right. Who's going?
Oh, we
on
already
this
talked
for the
about it, Los
defendant?
Angeles.
I will, Your Honor. I'm not going to belabor the point. I mean, not surprisingly, in a joint motion, I agree with the argument made by Mr. Brennan. You've heard that there will be new Commonwealth experts. There are no reports yet. There have been no disclosures. No forensic testing has yet taken place. And the time frame, according to the motion, is somewhat unclear at this point. Clearly, once testing is complete, disclosures are made, we would have the right to consult with our experts and potentially employ additional experts depending on what the testing.
Have you been working on that though in anticipation?
We have,
Okay.
yes. Mr. Brennan has promised to index all discovery so that both sides can be satisfied that full disclosures have been made. I know he's been working diligently on that. He needs a little bit more time to take care of that. I would remind the court that during the last trial, we were still receiving reports and some discoverable material as trial was ongoing, sometimes deep into a trial. And we're really trying to avoid that this time. It's really not fair to Ms. Reed that discovery is not complete well in advance of trial so that we can assimilate and incorporate that discovery into what would now be a retrial. And our position is, Your Honor, there's simply not enough time between now and January 27th to get all of that done and properly prepare for trial. And I would just close by saying that both sides and the court have an interest in having this matter proceed to trial expeditiously. But in our view, and I would expect in the court's view, the most important consideration here is Ms. Reed's right to a fair trial. And in light of what's outstanding and what needs to be done, we believe she would not be able to receive a fair trial at the end of January. We're essentially asking for a 2-month delay, which I believe is reasonable in light of what we've already discussed. We do not anticipate any further continuance requests, just like Mr. Brennan said. So we'd ask the court to allow this motion.
All right. What do you anticipate we need to do for in-court hearings? You mentioned in your motion, in the joint motion, a Daubert hearing.
Hold at the top.
How many dates are we talking about? We already need a new date now for Rule 14, for the Rule 17 motions that we have. So we need to start moving forward with all of this. Is there going to be a Daubert hearing, and who is the witness that you anticipate a Daubert hearing on? I'd like to get that on our schedule now.
We have not yet drafted the motion, but I've given it much thought. The government at trial called an expert regarding a dog bite. Forgive me, I haven't watched all of the trial.
No, that's fine. All right.
That expert, I did not believe, followed the proper methodology or had the expertise to make.
All right. Does the defense intend to call Dr. I've forgotten her name.
Russell.
Dr. Russell, do you intend to call her again?
I expect that she will be able to.
All right. So why don't we set a Daubert hearing sometime in December? Does that give you enough time, Mr. Brennan?
It does, Your Honor.
Okay. So why don't we set a Daubert hearing? I know you'll have to fly her in, but why don't we get a date now in December for that?
Does the court anticipate that being a different day than the date we're going to set for the Rule 17?
Rule
motion?
17 we're doing as soon as possible. We'll do before
Understood.
that date.
Understood.
So we're going to need.
So just to let anybody know, a Daubert hearing is a legal process that determines if expert testimony is admissible in a trial. Purpose: to evaluate the trustworthiness and importance of an expert's testimony. When it happens before the trial in a federal district court out of the jury's presence. How does it work? The parties present arguments and evidence, and the judge applies the Daubert standing to decide if testimony is admissible. What is at stake? A success Daubert motion can have significant impact on the outcome of a case. Based on a 1993 Supreme Court case, Daubert versus Merrill Dow Pharmaceuticals, Inc. The Daubert standard includes a set of criteria that a judge uses to evaluate expert testimony, such as empirical testing, peer review and publications, widespread acceptance, relevance, and applicability. Whew, there's a lot of big words there. And due process. Daubert hearings are important because they help ensure that only reliable and scientifically valid expert testimony is presented in court. All right, let's keep going on here.
Maybe we can have a file.
Let's speed this up here for scheduling.
It's something else.
Fly out on the night, and I've got an all-day hearing on the night back in California, so I can't fly that day. So
Well,
I
court
fly on the 10th.
court
Well,
ends
this is
it.
the red eye part. Hang on, we'll
I
go back.
have you cannot do the 10th. Okay.
Your Honor, just to be completely candid, I have nothing on the 10th. I've got to fly out on the 11th, and I've got an all-day hearing on the 11th. So I'm sorry, I'm reversing that on the 9th. I didn't fly out on the 9th, and I've got an all-day hearing on the 9th back in California, so I can't fly that day. So
Well,
fly on the 10th.
court ends at what time?
I'm sorry, Your Honor.
You could take, a lot of people take a red eye, right? Can you come out then?
Look
I
at
do every
Karen.
time.
We all laugh.
You can't fly out on the 9th, the evening of the 9th?
There's no way.
We literally all laughed.
Can you come out then?
I do every time. So I'm sorry, I'm reversing that on the 9th. I didn't fly out on the 9th, and I've got an all-day hearing on the 9th back in California, so I can't fly that day. So
Well,
fly on the 10th.
court ends at what time?
I'm sorry, Your Honor.
You could take, a lot of people take a red eye, right? Can you come out then?
I do
Look
every
at
time.
Karen.
You can't fly out on the 9th, the evening of the 9th?
There's no way. I can't take a flight on the 9th.
What about the 16th? It's a Monday. Is that
We're fully booked that Monday and Tuesday.
Let's stick on the 13th. Are we still on the 13th?
Sure, if it's available. We
13th.
just, Jim, we just put Gaston on for that day. Yep, we have a full competency hearing, and we also do on Gaston. About the 12th.
I'm blown away that
Just look at that.
here we are in November, sitting back in another fucking hearing, getting ready for round 2 in this sham fucking trial. And I'm going to guarantee you, if you thought the defense was great last time, wait till this go around. If this fucking thing goes to trial, you wait, because they're going to bring it. Bring it. You wait. You wait.
Did you say the 12th?
The 12th works.
I can do the 12th.
I can do the 12th.
Will accommodate, yes.
All right, so the Darbert hearing will be December 12th.
So that's Russell's going to
That'd
come
be
out
at
on
9 o'clock.
December 12th and have that hearing.
All right.
And those motions should be filed on the 27th.
Look at fucking
We'll
Lally.
get a date on that in just a minute, Jimmy.
Just sit there, little schoolboy. I think it's bald spot a bit. Dude, at
When
that
do you
point,
want-
come on.
when are you-
Like, just shave your head. You know, this is the thing. Men, let me just tell you something, okay? It's okay. Ladies will like you. They will like the bald, okay? I'm going to tell you right now. Just shave it. Be confident. It's only fucking hair. It doesn't matter. It doesn't change your personality. A woman's going to like you and want to fuck you for who you are, not your hair. Trust me. Trust me. If you're a cool guy and you're confident, women are going to like you, okay? But this shit with trying to hold on, he's got a fucking bald spot and then just this little thing up here. Bro, shave your head. Don't hang on to it. Just let it go. Let it flow. Let it flow. Believe me, women are going to like you no matter what. If you're a cool guy and you have personality and you know how to treat a lady, they're going to like you. That's it. But this shit with trying to hang on to your fucking hair, let it go. Just shave your head. Shave your fucking head, bro. You're hanging on. You're hanging on. It's over. It's done. You've given up. That's more fucking embarrassing. Seriously, it's more embarrassing when you try to hang on to it. That looks fucking ridiculous. Just shave your head. Shave it and be confident. That's it. It's only fucking hair. Who cares? It's hair. Just shave
You're
your head.
available for the Rule 17 motions. How
I mean,
about
just
December,
give
how
in.
about November
Shave it.
26th?
It looks worse. That's why I always look like fucking these guys that walk around and they have Homer Simpson hair. The 3 wispy fucking hairs up there. They're trying to hang on. Like, what is that? Just shave it. Shave your head. It looks good, right? Who cares? And I mean, I could still grow hair. The biggest thing is I'm just receded right here. I don't give a shit. I don't care. It doesn't define who I am. It's fucking hair. And you know what? It saves me a lot of money on haircuts. I'll tell you that. It saves you a lot of haircut money.
I had a trial that morning
Where?
in Woburn District Court. To the extent that the court would give me a protective
And you
order.
feel
Or-
cool
or
in the summer.
Tell
Or
them that
told-
you have a trial here, and if I need to speak to anybody, I will.
Okay, appreciate that.
We're not a trial here, but this motion hearing.
Okay.
I'd like to do it as soon as possible to get those out, get that moving.
Thank you.
So November 26th, Jim, can we do that in the morning?
Yes.
I'm told that Mr. Jackson cannot make the 26th.
For the Rule 17 motions, do you need to be here in person?
If I could have 10 seconds.
during this moment, if I could just alert the court that there is one additional Rule 17 I'll have filed by Friday. It is similar to a number of,
File it and send notice immediately of the date.
may I inquire, do I send notice on behalf of the Commonwealth or does the clerk's office send it?
Mr. Lally can inform you on the process, but
Thank you very
you
much.
send it right out.
We will. Thank you.
Allie, look, he put some weight on.
Yeah, we'll make the 26th work.
His hair is terrible.
I'd like to.
Shave your fucking head.
Okay.
Or at least buzz it down.
Are we 9 a.m.?
Why don't we do 10 a.m., Jimmy?
10 a.m. on
Get
the
all the
26th.
record holders who want to be.
Like the wispy faux hawk up there.
10 a.m. on the 26th.
Hanging on.
All right. And all the other motions are taken under advisement.
Great.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That's it. So, a couple court dates coming up. The next time they'll be back is they have the hearing on December 12th. That'll be with Dr. Russell. And then they'll be back for November 26th. So November 26th, then December 12th. And then we're just waiting. They're going to move the trial knot. So I'm looking here. Do you think Bev will move the trial? 163 votes. 58% of you say yes, and 42% say no. Nada. Done. All right. So we had the hearing, and I had a little footage that I captured outside of court. I'll play that real quick, and then we'll get into the Enrique Delgado-Garcia information. All right. This is after court.
You gotta make a lane here.
Make it rain.
Come on. Come on. Make a hole, please.
Yeah.
Make sure to smash that like it button for me. I would appreciate it. Nick. Yeah, but you can still cut beard. You can shape a beard, right? What I did, my hairline was getting bad during the pandemic. Actually, my hair was really long. I couldn't find a barber, so I just shaved my head, and I think I kind of encouraged it. So during the pandemic, it's kind of where stress came in. My hair got a little bit thinner. I just fuck it. So the funny thing is, I was just like, I had time to kind of sit with it and accept it, and now I just don't care. Actually, girls like it, so, and it's easier. But you could still do lineups, right? You can line up a beard. Watch this camera work. Oh, I got in there. The David Unetti interview.
Oh. It's not fine. So, David, nothing today. No
Thank you, Peggy.
decisions today.
Look at this camera work. Right in
What do you
there.
think on the delay of the trial? I mean, since both sides won it, it seems to be logical,
I would
correct?
expect it would be granted. I don't want to speak for the judge. I mean, it's completely her discretion, but I think it just makes eminent sense. And I think that given both sides really want it and believe it's in the interest of justice, that the judge will likely allow it.
And on the sidebar conferences, what is the purpose of that?
So there were a number of legal decisions that were made at sidebar, as are made in every trial. And in preparation for the retrial, we want access to those arguments. They may apply to motions in limine, and we're happy doing it in a two-step process here, where it's just released to counsel, and then potentially after that it could be released further to the public.
Any sort of expectation about how this trial might be different with Hank Brennan on the other side?
It is my video, yes.
We're not concerned with who the
Interesting.
opponent is. We're concerned with presenting our.
Well, that's fine because I've played, I've played his stuff on my channel. So thank you, Peter Tragos, the lawyer you know. Thank you. Yeah, this is my video. That's cool. Thanks for letting me know that. I'll have to go over and check it out. Should be cool if they just drop the name of my channel, though. With the amount of subscribers he's in front of, that'd be great.
Defense, which we believe is a very strong defense that will prevail.
Do you anticipate it's
I'll
going to
check
be
that out.
a similar defense to what you presented in trial one?
I don't have a comment on that. I will say that, trial number one, we did get an education, and hopefully we will be using that education to further our strategy.
Mr. Brennan said he
expect there'll
expects
be more
fewer witnesses this time, substantially fewer witnesses. What do you think about that? Could this be a shorter trial?
Well, if he's going to call fewer witnesses, then I think it makes sense that it would be a shorter trial. We welcome that.
What do you think of Jackson's new beard?
Love it.
That was a great question. All right, that's it. So all good stuff. That was kind of my day. That was kind of my day. And it was nice to be back out there and see a lot of the supporters, get to talk to a lot of people I haven't seen in a while. And, we're just kind of back in this mix, in the mix of the support, trying to keep things together, trying to rally around Karen and all these other causes that we're standing out for right now. And, I've been shedding a lot of light on Trooper Enrique Delgado-Garcia's case specifically, because it's really touched me. It's really touched my heart. And now I have the opportunity to speak with his mom and his sister and some of the extended family. I really, want to try to get to some answers, but it's held tight. Not a lot of information out there, but really making contact with the family at this point did help in filling some clues and some answers to questions that I had. So essentially, I left court. I went and grabbed lunch. I hung out with a subscriber. Ironically, it was Trish. She was over at the court. She messaged me and said, "Hey, where are you going to be right now?" And Trish has been up in the studio with Mizzy and they come here and they help out with Sandra Birchmore's case. But so we sat down. We just shot the shit. I flew back to the studio for a little bit to kind of relax. And then I headed over to Michael Morrissey's office for the Stronger Together standout. I got there probably about 45 minutes after it started. There was a large crowd there, probably well over, I would say probably 150 people. And when I got there, my subscriber, Beatrice, came up to me and said, "Hey, I've been looking for you, and I'm so glad I found you because some of Enrique's family is here, an uncle and a cousin. And I would like they wanted to meet you." So we went over, she translated in Spanish for me, which was fantastic. I had some questions and they were very reserved at first. They're very, very reserved. The family is been very private about this. They haven't spoke much about it. And that's just due to the fact of their legal counsel. And so after meeting with that side of the family, one of their aunts came over, which was Enrique's mom's sister. So then I had an opportunity to speak with her. Let me just get to this really quick. DK, in defense of Peter Tragos, he said somebody sent him that video. I don't think he knew which YouTube creator. It's not a problem. I have no problem. But thank you for pointing it out. I think that's great. And I've used this stuff here before, and he doesn't hit me with a copyright strike or anything. And that's cool. I think that's pretty cool, though. But anyway, getting back to Enrique Delgado-Garcia. So I spoke with them. There was some translating going back and forth. The uncle, from what I understand, actually flew over from Puerto Rico to actually do this standout. And then I got to meet with Enrique's aunt, and we had some conversation for about 20 minutes. She shared many videos with me and photographs of Enrique's life. And that was one of the video that you saw that I posted today that actually I got permission. Sorry, I'm turning my fan off. I got permission to actually post that and just show you a little bit about who Enrique was, because all we've seen so far is just static photos of him. And I said, I really would like to get a video if I can, with your permission, and post it so people can understand, who he was or what he looked like, when he was full of life. And, we saw that. I posted the video today, and he had his nephew up on his shoulders. And it was a very sweet and precious moment to see that. And I saw photos of his injuries, which were shocking. They showed me the injuries. They described his injuries. They told me about his injuries. They were told to not take photos, but they're like, look, we're documenting this. We want answers. So, you know, those are those are photos that are there. They're always going to be ingrained in my brain now. It was horrible. It was troubling to look at them, but she described, you know, what was going on in the photos. And, you know, after some time of gaining some rapport with her and the family kind of warming up and talking to me, they said, you know, we do know about your channel. We know everything that you've been talking about. We appreciate the first, you know, kind of non-family standout, Enrique standout that you did, you know, a couple of weeks ago, because that really was the first official one besides the family. And I said, you know, we're going to continue to do those. We'll put those together. I'll share the GoFundMe link. So anyway, after warming up, the aunt told me that his mom and his sister are actually on their way. And I went, really? Do you think I would have the opportunity to speak with them? So she called Enrique's mom and asked if I could meet with them. And she said, absolutely. We'll do it privately. They arrived at the standout. We went to a private lot. And I had the opportunity to speak with his mom and his sister for about a half an hour. Beatrice did a phenomenal job translating for me. But the kind of the caveat on all of it was his sister actually spoke fluent English, which was great. And, you know, we just encourage them to not, because of the language barrier, don't let these officials and the department and these, you know, the lawyers push them around. They need to push back. They need to be consistent. They need to continue to ask questions and demand answers. And we really instilled that inside their head. And I told them that, you know, I still put pressure on them, you know, via my platform, via Twitter or X. I still write FOIA requests, even though they get denied. I still want to ask questions. I have every right as an American citizen to do that. That's why the Freedom from Information Act is there. I can request it. Yes, it may be denied. They may not answer me, but at least they know that we are putting pressure on this situation and we want answers. It has been yesterday. Yesterday is 60 days. 60 days and Enrique Delgado-Garcia was killed. 60 days. And that family has no answers. They said, we are not hearing anything. I've also reached out. I don't know if that's a word. I reached out to David Meyer's office again and asked, do you have a follow-up? I haven't heard anything. So tomorrow when I wake up in the morning, I will forward that email again and say, can you update the public? We want answers. Now, I know I'm going to get the standard, it's an open investigation. We're not going to say anything right now, but I want them to understand that we as the public and as citizens of Massachusetts want to know what happened. I don't want this poor family watching his mom cry in front of me yesterday for the full 30 minutes that I get to meet with them, crying and embracing and hugging her and just crying. I don't want her to have to suffer a year. Because think back, David Meyer, when he investigated, when he was the special investigator for the drug lab scandal, it took him almost a year to come to a conclusion with that report before turning it in. That family, this family can't wait a year. They can't wait a year for answers. That's insane. That is absolutely insane. And where's the medical report? I think Nurse Kim said that it's got to be like 40 or 45 days. And unfortunately, because I looked into it, for me to request a medical examiner's report, I'm never going to get it. Because you know why? I'm not a family member. But maybe I can talk to his sister and have them put the request in and say, where is the medical examiner's report? We want to know what happened. Where is it? So that's really what we've been waiting for. That's what they've been waiting for. They're not getting anything. And I'll pull up my article here and read it here in a second. So let's do this really quick. I saw a couple of super chats come in, or I saw one super chat come in. D, thank you. Says, I appreciate you. And thank you for the $20, by the way. Thank you. It supports this channel. And thank you for being a Go Squad member. It keeps the lights on here in the studio so I can keep doing this. And thank you. So she said, appreciate you. Thank you for your selfishness to bring this community the truth. And I listen, I try to do everything I can. I work a full-time job. and I try to, hunt down, leads and talk to people as much as I can outside and put these lives together and try to raise money for these families and drop their respective links to get money to them. We've raised a lot of money here on this channel and given back to Karen Reed's defense fund. I've done stuff for Turtle Boy. And now I want to start trying to help the Garcia family out because they are in a lot of pain. You can tell that family is very close. They love each other. And they are in a lot of pain. I mean, you can see the sadness on their face. That Enrique was the family. And that's what I understand from all of this. He was the one that was going to propel the Delgado-Garcia name forever. And he was just this very unselfish person. She told me some stories. She said, his mom said that there was a time when a spider came into the house and everybody was freaking out and they wanted to kill it. And Enrique went over and picked it up and he said, "Don't kill it. Let's bring it outside and let it go." And that's really who he was. He was that type of person. She also told me that yesterday they had just gotten his car and all his possessions back from the academy. And she started to go through some of his possessions at home. And she found things like he would donate to various charities and not really tell anybody about it for any type of clout or anything like that. He was very into donating to the Humane Society. And there was some other charities that she had said, but she was very surprised by that. And that was just a private thing that he did and just gave back, gave some money back to help. And that's just the type of person he was. And all the interactions of people that I've talked to on and off the record, they have just said wonderful things about him. I have his sister passed me some phone numbers of some friends. I'm going to reach out to them probably tomorrow and see if they want to make any type of comment or statement, or if they want to come on the show and talk about Enrique. And that's really what I want. I would just want to find a friend out there that had spent time with him, or maybe someone that was in the academy with him that had been let go and didn't make it through. And I'm calling that. I'm putting that calling out there to the public. If there's anybody that was in Enrique's class, and I know that a lot of you are being silenced right now and not being able to talk. But if you want to speak, you could have this platform here. Come on, let us know. Let us know what happened, because this family is desperately searching for answers. Their heart is broken. I mean, his mom is you can see it in her face. The aunt told me also that she said, every night I go to bed, I wake up in the middle of the night and I just see Enrique in front of me. And I mean, just hearing that is just so heartbreaking. This was really the nucleus of the family. Enrique was really the nucleus of the family, and very well loved and very, and missed, really missed. All right, let's bring up this, my article here that I wrote, and we'll go through this. And it does have a lot of the conversation that I had with, his mom, his sister, and the extended family. So it goes to, and I'll drop the link here if you want to go back and read this. It does help, in my algorithm to kind of push this story out, because everybody needs to know about this. So I'm working on some of that information, Laura. I'm working on that right now. I have a couple of requests in, and I haven't heard anything back from the Mass State Police. But anyway, let's read about this. So today marks 60 days since Enrique's death, and still nothing. And that was yesterday. Searching for the truth of Trooper Enrique Delgado-Garcia's death at the Mass State Police Academy. So I write here, as of yesterday, today was a long day. I started off at the Karen Reed hearing in Dedham, where I had a chance to sit in court and see Special Prosecutor Hank Brennan in action for the first time. He seemed to make several questionable moves. His arguments felt a bit desperate at times. After the hearing, I headed over to the Canton, Mass for the Stronger Together rally in front of DA Michael Morrissey's office. It was inspiring to see around 150 people standing up for justice, supporting causes like the Free Karen Reed movement, Justice for John O'Keefe, Sandra Birchmore, Justin Root, and Trooper Enrique Delgado-Garcia. As I moved throughout the crowd, I was introduced to some of Enrique's extended family who were there, raising awareness about the case. Some have traveled in from Puerto Rico and to be part of the standout. I was so grateful to have my friend and Spanish translator, Beatrice, with me. It made communication with his family smooth and informative. Without any prior announcement, Enrique's mother and sister were on their way to the standout. After gaining trust with his extended family, I was given the opportunity to meet privately with them for about 30 minutes. Enrique's mother shared that Enrique's mother shared that the family has been following my coverage of the case and expressed their gratitude. When I asked if there's any updates, she said, quote, "Today marks 60 days since Enrique's death and still nothing. But today we received Enrique's car and possessions back from the academy." She added, quote, "Going through my son's possessions these last few weeks, I discovered so much about him. He used to donate to the Humane Society and other various charities, never saying a word to boast. And it was simply who he was, very generous, one to never brag." Enrique often spoke to his mother about his training. He said he described it as very strenuous. He mentioned that allegedly that one of the Mass State Police trainers would frequently single him out, saying things like, "You think you're better than everyone? You think you're tough just because you're physically fit?" As I asked more questions about what happened, she recounted that at the hospital, doctors had told her the extent of Enrique's injuries: broken teeth, 2 fractured vertebrae, and a broken ankle. Enrique's aunt showed me photos of him in his hospital bed, which were shocking to see. His mother added that doctors told her the brain injury that he suffered was the equivalent of being struck at about 100 miles an hour. She said, "In my opinion, this is not an accident, it's an execution." She also mentioned, "I wish I could speak out more, but our lawyers have been advised to stay silent for now, and I wanted to come here today to quietly be part of the standout, and I appreciate everything everyone is doing to keep my son's case alive." So I'm grateful that I had the chance to meet with the Delgado-Garcia family. I could feel their loss and pain in their eyes. Enrique was truly loved, which was so clearly in the photos and videos that the family shared with me during our conversation. I assured Enrique's mother that I would continue to pursue more information about his case and express my deep appreciation for her openness with me. And then I have the link here to their GoFundMe. If you would like to support Enrique's family, they have a $60,000 goal. It's at about $45,000 right now. I will share that in the chat. And I would love for people to make that happen. They actually gave me this shirt that I plan on at the next standout, and I have photos of it here in my article. And I want to play this video after, but this is the shirt that they honored me with, that the family wears at the standouts. So you have the photo of Enrique in the back. I mean, in the front, and then in the back here, it says "Justice for Enrique." So I want to thank the family members for giving me one of these. I will hold on to it, obviously, forever. It will live in LTL Studios here. So thank you. I really do appreciate that. And I want to play this video if you haven't seen it yet. And this is Enrique with his nephew.
Yeah.
So that was my day. And it was tough to see the pain on that family's face. And I want to thank the contacts that I've made. I am now in direct contact with family members, and I told them if there's anything that I can do here at whatever level that I can to help, I will help them. So hopefully we keep some open dialogue and communication going. And as some new information comes out, hopefully I'll get some more of that to share, and maybe they'll trust me a little bit more to put some, more photos or videos out of Enrique to honor his life. And it's tragic. It really is truly tragic. My heart was hurting for his mother. She's just, they need answers. They want answers, and there's nothing. There's just nothing at this point, and it's very sad. It's very sad to have to see a mother that doesn't have any answers to her son's death. And it's not fair. It's not fair to them because they seem like a very sweet family, a very sweet, close family. And Enrique he was the top. He was the top. And he wanted to be a Mass State Police trooper. That was his life's goal. And, going to try to achieve that dream. This is the situation we're in. So it's horrible. It's a horrible, horrible thing that they had to go through. Name, thank you so much. $20. Thank you so much. I appreciate the support. So if you want to, I will drop that article link in the chat. You can check it out. And then if you just keep scrolling down, you'll see more of the articles that I've written on Enrique. So I think that's going to wrap up tonight's live. I appreciate you all being here and supporting me on this stream. Tonight is Thursday. I'll be back on Sunday, and we'll keep hitting at it. So, yeah, Mizzy was over there for a little bit and got to meet Enrique's mom as well, too. And they had some conversation after I had left, and I got filled in on some more details about some more of the conversation. But it was just so nice to really meet her. I'd like to organize a standout up in Worcester because they are from that area, and I would love to go up there at some point and organize a standout. So I'm going to work on that soon. And if any of you all that live in the Massachusetts area would like to go up and join us, that would be great to support. So please, if you can make a donation via my article through the GoFundMe, I really would appreciate it to help that family out. They have a big goal to reach. They're at 45,000 right now. They're trying to reach their goal of 60, and it really would help that family out. So, but thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And thank you for being here tonight. I appreciate it. We're going to head out, and I will be back, hopefully, let's see, Sunday night. We'll be back live, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm trying to get Mazza back in here. We're going to work out our schedules and try to do a live with him in live because he hasn't been over to the new studio, and I'd like him to be here at some point. Maybe we'll try to get Rita in here with us or, I don't know, someone else. But thank you all so much for being here. Thank you, Ghost Squad members. Thank you, new subscribers. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe this video. I love you all. I would not be here if it wasn't for all of you, and I appreciate all the support. And I'll see you soon. Everybody have a great night. I know it was a late night tonight, and we'll talk soon. So have a good night, everybody.